Black female captain denied entry at her own airline's office. Told to wait outside while white colleagues walk in. The automatic doors slid open, and a wave of cool air conditioning hit as Captain Evelyn Carter stepped inside. The lobby was sleek, pristine, too pristine. The kind of place where the chairs were more for display than comfort. She adjusted the strap of her leather bag, her sneakers barely making a sound on the polished marble floor. That IT was her day off, but she wasn't here for leisure. Today was about something bigger. A scheduled meeting with the airline's executive board to discuss a long-overdue diversity initiative. A conversation that should have happened years ago. She approached the reception desk, where a young woman in a navy blazer was typing away, nails clicking in rapid succession. Evelyn placed her airline ID on the counter and offered a polite nod. "Hi, I'm here for a meeting with." "Employees and visitors need to wait outside," the receptionist cut in, not even glancing up. Evelyn blinked. I am an employee. I'm Captain Evelyn Carter, and I have a..." Pilots enter through the restricted access side. The woman interrupted again, her fingers still moving over the keyboard. "This area is for executives and staff." For a moment, Evelyn wondered if she had misheard. Executives and staff? She was staff. More than that, she was a senior captain with over a decade of experience. Taking a slow breath, she kept her voice steady. "I know where the pilot entrance is, but I'm here as a guest for a meeting." She tapped her airline ID. "You can check the list. It should be under Carter." Finally, the receptionist looked up, giving her a once-over. A flicker of something, confusion, doubt, flashed across her face before she pressed her lips into a thin line. "I'm sorry, but unless you're authorized, I can't let you in." Evelyn felt the familiar weight settle in her chest. She had been here before, not in this exact spot, but in this moment. Before she could respond, she noticed movement behind her. Two pilots, both white, both dressed in casual attire, strolled in. "Hey, good morning," one of them said with a grin. The receptionist's face lit up. "Oh, Captain Reynolds, Captain Harris, you can head right in." She waved them through, without checking a list. Without a second thought, Evelyn turned, watching them disappear down the hallway. Then she turned back, her voice calm but firm. "I just watched you let them in, without checking anything. Why am I being asked to wait outside?" The receptionist's smile tightened. "They've been here before. I recognize them." Evelyn exhaled sharply. "I've worked for this airline for 11 years. The receptionist hesitated. Before she could say anything, a uniformed security guard approached. He was broad-shouldered, his expression unreadable. "Is there a problem?" he asked, but only to her. She felt it. The shift in the air. The way the quiet hum of the lobby changed. How people suddenly paid attention, but pretended not to. The security guard's presence wasn't just a question. It was a warning. Evelyn set her jaw. "No problem at all. I'm just trying to get to my meeting." "Ma'am," the guard said, his voice neutral but firm, "if you don't have the right clearance, I'm going to have to ask you to step outside." Her fingers curled around the strap of her bag. Every muscle in her body screamed at her to let it go, to walk away. But she was tired of letting it go. She locked eyes with the receptionist. "Check the list." A long pause. Then, with an exaggerated sigh, the woman typed something into her computer. One beat, another. And then Evelyn saw it. The shift in the receptionist's expression. The slight widening of her eyes. She had made a mistake. "Oh," the receptionist cleared her throat. I see you here." Evelyn waited. "You can go in." No apology. No acknowledgement. Just a begrudging admission that Evelyn had been telling the truth all along. Evelyn held her gaze for a moment longer, then grabbed her ID off the counter and walked through the doors without another word. But something inside her had shifted. She had spent years dealing with moments like this. The quiet slights. The questioning of her credentials. The subtle, insidious ways people made it clear she didn't belong. But this time she had proof. And this time, she wasn't letting it slide. Evelyn Carter sat in the executive boardroom, her fingers lightly tapping the smooth surface of the table. The airline executives droned on about their commitment to diversity, but she wasn't really listening. Her mind kept replaying the moment at the front desk. The look on the receptionist's face when she realized her mistake. The way the security guard had immediately assumed she was the problem. It wasn't new. It never was. She glanced at the large window beside her, catching her own reflection. The crisp navy blazer. The gold wings pinned to her chest. The same uniform that had made her a target of doubt more times than she could count. Evelyn had been flying for over a decade. And before that, she had fought for every inch of space she occupied in this industry. She thought back to flight school. "Are you sure you're in the right class?" An instructor had asked her that on her first day. The room had erupted in laughter. She hadn't been laughing. Then there was the first time she walked into a cockpit as a co-pilot. The captain, an older white man, had done a double take. "Did you just graduate? You look a little green." She had been flying for 4 years at that point. And it didn't stop after she became a captain. If anything, it got worse. Passengers would second-guess her authority. Flight attendants would assume she was a junior crew member. Gate agents would ask if she was lost. While she was walking to her own aircraft, Evelyn had kept her head down, worked twice as hard, let the comments slide, but she never forgot. And she had been keeping track. She had a folder. Years of notes, emails, recorded conversations, incidents, complaints. Proof. The time she was passed over for a promotion, only to see it given to a pilot with less experience. The time a colleague casually joked, "They're only keeping you around so they can put you on the website." The time an executive at a company dinner called her the diversity hire. To her face, she had smiled through it all. But she remembered every single one. And now, she wasn't just remembering. She was about to do something about it. Because what happened today wasn't just another moment. That IT was the last straw. Evelyn kept her expression neutral throughout the meeting, nodding at the right moments, jotting down notes when expected. But inside, her thoughts were spinning. The executive spoke in broad, polished phrases. Building a culture of inclusivity, expanding opportunities, creating welcoming environment. Words that meant nothing when the reality was sitting right in front of them. Her phone vibrated quietly in her pocket. A text from another pilot she trusted. Just heard what happened at the front desk. Unreal. "You okay?" She inhaled slowly, tapping out a response. "I'm done letting this slide," because that's what it had always been, letting things slide, letting people assume, letting them question, letting them doubt her while she proved herself over and over again. But today was different. She had proof. The front desk security footage, the flight logs showing how few black women captains the airline actually employed, the reports from other pilots who had quietly shared their own experiences with her. This wasn't just about her anymore. She opened her email and pulled up the draft she had been working on for months. That a formal complaint outlining systemic discrimination within the airline. Names, dates, incidents. She had hesitated before, unsure of the consequences, but not anymore. Her finger hovered over the send button. Then she pressed it. Later that night, she sat in her apartment, scrolling through the responses. Some were quick, automated acknowledgments. Others were immediate attempts to dismiss her concerns. "We take all allegations seriously, but we regret that you feel this way. If you'd like to discuss this privately," they weren't taking her seriously. She stared at the emails, jaw tightening. They thought this would just disappear, that she would walk away like so many others before her. She picked up her phone, made a call. "It's time to take this public." Because if they wouldn't listen to her behind closed doors, she would make sure the world heard her instead. The notifications wouldn't stop. By the time Captain Evelyn Carter woke up the next morning, her phone was buzzing nonstop. Texts, emails, missed calls. Her story had gone viral that a major aviation news outlet had picked it up first, and the headline was impossible to ignore. Black female captain denied entry at her own airline's office, told to wait outside while white colleagues walk in. Evelyn barely had time to process it before her inbox exploded. Other pilots, some still employed, others long gone, reached out. "This happened to me too. I was pushed out after I complained. I have proof. Where can I send it?" And then came the messages from passengers. I remember feeling relieved when I saw a white pilot taking over from a black one. I hate that I thought that way. I watched a flight attendant question a black pilot once while letting her white co-pilot through without a word. It made me sick. Evelyn sat back, her phone in hand, heart pounding. She had known the airline had problems, but she hadn't expected this. A flood of whistleblowers, former employees, even customers, all sharing their experiences. And just like that, the airline's carefully curated image of diversity and progress began to crack. By midday, the airline released its first public statement. We are conducting an internal review regarding recent allegations. We remain committed to diversity, inclusion, and fairness. Weak. Generic. The kind of statement meant to calm the storm without actually addressing the problem. But it didn't work. The pressure didn't ease, it built. Stockholders started asking questions. Passengers demanded refunds. Flight crews refused to stay silent. And then, the breaking point. One of the biggest newspapers in the country published an investigative report, buried discrimination complaints, pay gaps between white and black pilots, that a pattern of internal retaliation against employees who spoke up. Evelyn read every word. She had lived it, and now, the world saw it too. The same executives who had brushed her off just days ago were now scrambling, desperately trying to contain the fallout. That'd be by the end of the week. Evelyn got a call from a nervous HR representative. Captain Carter, we'd love to have a conversation. We value your perspective. Evelyn almost laughed. You had a chance to listen before, she said. Now you'll listen in court. Because this wasn't just about bad PR anymore. This was a legal disaster. The airline fought back. Their legal team pushed out carefully worded statements about misunderstandings and isolated incidents. They brought in diversity consultants, made public pledges, even featured their one black executive at every opportunity. But none of it worked because the lawsuits had already been filed. And Evelyn wasn't the only plaintiff. Former pilots, flight attendants, ground crew, one by one, they stepped forward with their own stories. Pay disparities. Promotions denied. Complaints swept under the rug. And then, the final blow. A leaked internal email. A message between two senior executives mocking the backlash. Let her scream into the void. This will blow over like it always does. But it didn't. The email went viral. News anchors dissected every word. Social media erupted. Stock prices tanked. Corporate sponsors pulled out. Passengers canceled flights. And then one morning, the CEO, the same man who had ignored Evelyn's concerns for years, resigned, effective immediately. But it was too late. The airline's reputation was in freefall. Investors pulled their money. The board tried to restructure. But the damage was too deep, and months later, the inevitable happened. A headline that sent shockwaves through the aviation industry. Major U.S. airline files for bankruptcy amid discrimination scandal. The company that had dismissed Evelyn, tried to silence her, erase her, was now gone. But she wasn't done yet. Because she hadn't fought this hard just to watch another airline make the same mistakes. She had bigger plans. Evelyn stood at the front of the conference hall, scanning the room. The faces looking back at her weren't just black. They were Latina, Asian, indigenous, men and women, young and old. Some were fresh out of flight school, eyes full of hope. Others had been in the industry for years, carrying the same battle scars she did. She took a deep breath and smiled. I spent years believing that if I just kept my head down, worked twice as hard, and proved myself over and over again, things would change. She let the words settle before continuing. But I learned the hard way that silence doesn't fix broken systems. And when one of us speaks up, we give others the courage to do the same. That a murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. This wasn't just a speech, that IT was the launch of something bigger. With money from the lawsuit settlement and the support of other pilots, Evelyn had co-founded an aviation diversity initiative, not a PR stunt, not a corporate checklist, that a real program. Point one, that provided scholarships, mentorships, and legal protection for underrepresented pilots. One that held airlines accountable. Point one, that made sure no black pilot, no pilot of color, would ever have to fight to be seen as worthy again. She looked out at the crowd, faces filled with determination, hope, power. We didn't just bring down an airline, she said. We changed the industry. And we're just getting started. The applause was deafening. And for the first time in a long time, Evelyn felt something she hadn't let herself believe in before. Not just justice, real, lasting change. That a message to you. How many times have you seen injustice and thought, that's just the way things are, that's what they count on, that we'll let it go, that we'll move on. But when we speak up, when we demand better, we force change. That if you've ever been in Evelyn's shoes, or if you've seen something wrong and stayed silent, this is your Reminder, your voice matters, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.